new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect.
Mr. Pinozzo, sir, how are you?
Back at it.
Back at it. When are you getting your ass out here, Mike?
I get to Las Vegas tomorrow afternoon. That's when it all gets real.
What's the first dinner reservation, Mike?
First dinner reservation. Tomorrow night I'm low key in it because I need to. When I go out to Vegas, I'm too old, man. The first night I got to get, not go too heavy food wise, not stay up too late, and get a good night's sleep, and then I can get back into stroke by Wednesday. So
you're out of gear before you even touch down, is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
It's weird. I mean, 2 hours.
Come hang out for the whole event, and then we'll see how you're doing after day 4. Yeah.
Well, nobody's that dumb.
Hey, 2 hours whoops my ass, Mike. I don't know what it is about coming back. But you know what? Like, what I noticed is after all the traveling I did last year, I felt like I've been staying on this California time the entire time, because even back home, I was getting up later, and it wasn't a good look. It wasn't a good feel. But like you, I'm trying to pace myself throughout the week that is Vegas. Or actually, for me, it's the month that is Vegas. So we'll see. James says hello from Lincoln City, Oregon. Hello. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the show. I've been enjoying the coverage and the little bit of interviews we've done. It's been a fun time out here, Mike, like I've mentioned before, and it's like every time you look up, like I am right now, it's like something else is going on. And right now, you got all the doubles pairings that are getting warmed up and trying to find some chemistry.
Yeah. When's double starts tomorrow?
I think tomorrow. Yeah, I think tomorrow.
Women start tomorrow, right? Yeah. And doubles. Bank pool starts today.
Bank pool's today. It already went on.
Right?
Yeah, I think they went on the first round. I think Filler beats Sky, Billy beats Evan Lunda, amongst others. It's a cool little format. 40,000 ad is nothing to shy away from, which is pretty
for
cool.
12 players, that's pretty strong.
For 12 players, it's real strong, Mike. I wonder how they got away with the non-sanctioned part of it, because it's 40,000. Now that I think about it, because it's got to be
40,000. It's got to be 40,001.
And one. So they're just under the threshold. Okay.
Correct.
All right. Sweet, man. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well,
and so the one question I do have on the Bank Pool Showdown, is where's Mr. Derby City Bank Pool?
Oh, Mr. Master of the Table, you mean Federer?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's a good question. He's
Christina's out there. Pin her down. Ask her.
He's a fashion model right now, showcasing his hats and his subscription service. Not an OnlyFans though, although you never know, he may at some point have an OnlyFans. He's Mr. Marketing. You know what I mean?
He is. So, well, there's like I said, there are 40,000 added for 12 player. Bank pool. He's got it like that. I mean, the top 3 from each. There's 2 groups of 6, right? The top 3 advance. The top 3 advance to a single elimination, with the top person in each group getting a bye into the semifinal, right? So that's that would be a pretty good format for him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to expect the guys who have more table time with this equipment are gonna have the edge. I.e. Josh Filler would be my guess, Mike. And we saw him make work of Shane pretty easily out there in the one pocket, and he can adjust. He's got a ton of experience here. But it's cool that they brought in these specialists, like a Chip Compton or an Evan Lunda.
Yeah. It's a good 12-person field. I mean, it's not like they chinced out, but
for sure we're missing Federer though, Mike. For sure we're missing him out in this event. Although he is being buzzed around from yesterday, barking at Alex a little bit, or actually Alex mentioning him and Federer responding. So it was a good day of stirring up the action for sure.
Yeah, there was some barking going on for sure. It's everybody wants to dance. From a bunch of guys who I know can't dance anyway, so they really shouldn't use that term. But it's
Thomas in the chat says he wasn't invited, which is
no, I'm sure he wasn't invited. Otherwise, he'd play. I'm just curious
why wouldn't he be invited though, Mike? They invited Shane, and Federer's been like the golden boy of
Billy,
over the years.
Billy, they invited Sky. So I know he's got neck issues, things like that, but believe me, he'd have been here for some bank pool, 40,000. Is he playing the U.S. Opens?
He's not that I know of, no, because I think he would have already been in Vegas, So everybody's here. There's a ton of action going on at Griff's, after hours. So it's right up his alley. Although I'm sure he wouldn't be getting a ton of action regardless. But yeah, I mean, whenever we saw Vitali be Christina's partner and Federer posting from the house, you were kind of wondering a little bit, and I guess that clears the air with him saying he wasn't invited, but.
Yeah, I know he wasn't invited to a couple of the, he couldn't get invited to the men's open, Las Vegas Open, but these other ones, you would have thought he would have been a pretty good pick. And at least to be able to say, I was invited, but I had to turn it down because I've got physical issues. I haven't heard that part of it. So I'm assuming he just wasn't invited, period.
Well, a surprise for sure. But either way, it's a good quality field, Mike, like you mentioned, 12 players. But I gotta, before we get going on that, I want to talk about what was, and that was the junior showdown where Nostradamus over here, we both picked a couple of players to make it to the final, and you ended up snagging off the winner, Mike.
I did. Laz Martin. I had Laz, and I had. Well, the thing is, we picked before the draw. I had Laz and Payne McBride, and I think they played in the second, first or second round.
Otherwise, you would have swept the whole thing, Mike. You would have
crushed it. Lazarus, a great young player. I'm looking forward to seeing him, in some big events soon.
Do you know if he has plans to play in decent sized events, Mike?
His goal is to do that. I don't know if but last time I talked to him, I hadn't heard of any immediate plans.
Right.
But he's going to. He's going to be. I like his temperament. I like his game. Solid kid. Determined. Works hard. So I'd like to see where he ends up.
There's like these two roads that American players go down, right? Either they stay in these like regional and type atmosphere and stay in the action and kind of within their area and their comfort zone and bar table and blah blah blah.
Where they just go all Sam Henderson and just dive in head first.
And you got to have a lot of respect and admiration for Sam for that. You know what I mean? And it's not easy, and it's not financially. I'm sure it doesn't make sense a lot of times. Because you're cutting your teeth and you're getting the worst of it, but you're going in there for seasoning and experience, and so but that's how you sharpen. That's how you're gonna go and get better, and that's how you're gonna measure up to see where it is you stand in the grand scheme of things. Because you can look phenomenal when you're playing against, like kids or whatever, you know what I mean. But when you're playing against the big boys and girls, that's really where you get to see how you're gonna line up. Same thing goes for like a Sophia Mass or a Savannah Easton. They're in there sparring with the who's who of professional women players. But I'd love to see Laz take a stab at some bigger events like you, Mike. Whenever we do get to see him play against some top players, he can hold his own. I remember the first time seeing him first time I saw him at Texas Open, he was on TV table against Roberto, beating him, and that was about as pressure as you can get at the Texas Open, right in his backyard. And I think he's got a bright future, but I'd love to see how he does in like a U.S. Open type atmosphere.
Yeah. There were some good matches in that junior event too. Some really fun stuff to watch.
Did I lose you, Mike? Oh, here we go. My computer's acting up here. Yeah. But anyway, so
it kind of froze up a little.
I guess I owe you dinner, so there's that. But I got Madeline.
Well, no, we come out easy because I had Shane in the one pot.
Ah, okay. So then we got to make another wager then, Mike. That's what it sounds like to me. I can't either I'm going bust or I'm going to be winning. One of the two. There's no, breaking even is only whenever I'm super stuck. That's the only time I hope for it. So,
that's right.
Anyhow, Mike, I'm excited to get you out here. It's been fun to see a lot of people out here, man, from fans. And I've even been asked about you a few times, Mike. They're like, when's Pinozo getting here? So it's been just a real enthusiastic crowd of just diehard pool players. Like I mentioned before,
I just love that it's so many different players there, in so many different events. You always have someone to talk to about the event that they're in or event that they just got done playing or whatever. You've got you had the juniors, and you had the one packet, and you had you got the mixed doubles coming up and the women coming up, and so just a lot of cool stuff. Bank pool going on.
Yeah. Matt says John Schmidt in the commentary. I'm gonna highlight Matt's comment here because I haven't got to hear John's commentary. But when I saw him walking around one of the first days, I'm thinking, what is John doing here? Because this isn't usually John's stomping grounds. So for them to have him in the commentary booth is great because John's a riot, man. If you ever get to talk to him, he is so fun to be around. He's so funny to be around. He's just full of one-liners and is super witty. I love hanging around with John Schmidt. He's an absolute riot. So kudos on Predator for getting him in the booth. Mixed doubles, Mike, like I mentioned today, it's a fun little mix of teams, 32 altogether. I know Allison dropped out of this event, but it's stacked full of top women players, top male players, and it's a pretty good mix, I must say.
Yeah, no, there's some interesting teams and some it should be a lot of fun. I mean, 32 teams, it's a big field.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Mike. 32 is a pretty hefty number,
That is. Well, you figure if you've got 128 players out there for the open event, and you've got 64 or whatever for the women's, you got an opportunity to make 32 teams pretty easily, right?
Yeah, but you want it to be quality. That's the main thing I feel like when it comes to these type of events, and so you don't want to have any first round where it's kind of it's dead money and things like that. And for the most part, I mean, it's pretty stout, Mike. I mean, I would know what teams I would favor, but chemistry plays such a big factor in these Scotch double type formats, and so I think it's kind of all gloves are off to some extent out here, Mike.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. I mean, there's some people getting a shot at this who, that's what part of it makes it fun to me is that there are people getting shots at this who aren't normally in these 16-team, mixed doubles or weren't in the Worlds because their country isn't big enough. To see a Dennis Grave in the mixed doubles with Jasmine Ocean. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff.
I wonder if there's like a rift between the oceans, Mike. Why wouldn't Albin and Jasmine be on the same team? Do we have any insider information?
Well, they've been on the same team every other. They've been on the same team every other time there's been an event. I don't think they've won any that I've noticed. Is Albin? I don't even think Albin's playing in mixed.
I don't think he is. No, he's here though. That's for sure. Because he played in that.
Yeah, maybe he just didn't feel like playing, and so she matched up with Dennis.
Well, like you'll find that some of these. They're the only brother-sister duo, but like it's hard when you're in it with family. I know Federer said before, like him and Christina playing in Scotch doubles can be a little dicey. You may end up on the couch at some point, throughout that tournament. Then you have, Josh and Pia who have won the triples event they've had before. So it's a fun little balance for sure. I'm excited to see how it unfolds. There's like the Spaniards here. There's Kelly and Alex Kazakis that are here. There's quite a few of strong combinations, Mike.
Yeah. So a lot of, like I said, a lot of fun ones, a lot of interesting ones. Ellen Roland and Sophia Mast, they played very well in the last doubles event.
Yeah. So they were a sleeper out there in Puerto Rico, Mike, and played strong.
They were deep. Yeah, they were deep. And you got a couple other, Jana Sirac, who just won the last WPBA event of last year. She's playing with Ralph Soke. Some fun stuff.
Ralph ain't getting no speeding tickets, that's for sure, especially on the pool table. So his match may need to start today and then finish up by tomorrow.
How about that? You know what pairing I like? Seo Seo and Daniel Maciel.
That's a pretty good combination. Let me take a look, Mike. Maybe I should have been better prepared here. I'm going to bring up the Pro Billiard Series website.
That would be on.
It's.
Don't go out. Don't get all out of character.
We gotta stay in our lanes, Mike. So let me see here. I'm going to ProBilliardSeries.com, checking it out. Let's see if we can find some teams here, Mike. Lucados and Weiwei, that might be a sleeper. Demetrius had a lot of success playing on Predator tables in the past, Mike. Um, Marco Tucher and April Larson, Christina Tkach and Vitali Patsura, Delgado and Ropero. I mentioned Kazakis and Fisher. Oi and Sakura. That's a pretty good mix, Mike. Gomez and Slateva. Look out, Mike. That might be one you see in a final day.
Who's that?
Slateva and Gomez.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see him.
Well, Jackson Pia is always going to be, one of your.
Oh, look at that. Wu Kunlin and Han Yu, Mike. That's a powerhouse. That's a strong one.
That's pretty nice. And then Chang and Chow.
Yeah. Masiao and Seao. I wonder how that language barrier is going to come into play.
Just point and shoot.
Yeah.
Well, just most of them say when you talk about the doubles competition language barrier, they say, "Listen, we both know how to play. Just tell me where you want."
Well, we saw that in Manila, Mike. Where like the Huangs and some of these guys who don't speak English very well, there was always going to be that hurdle to overcome, but they all speak the universal language of playing good position, and being able to make smart choices. And if you're a part of this 64 player field, you got experience doing both. So there's got to be a certain level of trust. But to have a fun combination that we wouldn't see otherwise is pretty interesting, Mike. So we'll see if they can.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the teams.
It's a fun dynamic. I missed the World Cup of pool like we've said before. So to kind of get this as a little appetizer is going to be pretty cool, Mike.
Yeah, it will be fun.
What else we got going on today, Mike, besides the bank pool? Real quick, I know since you're Mr. Action, let's jump back into that Federer versus Alex one pocket. I know, this isn't necessarily your I know this isn't like your forte per se, Mike, but I want to get your take on it.
Federer and Alex. Well, you know what? Alex has been actually playing some pretty good pool, in the last several months. Must feel pretty good about his game. What are they talking about race wise?
I mean, it would
be right.
It would be a pretty long race. I'd say somewhere in the neighborhood of 24 to 30 games, something like that is what I would say. Probably over 3 days, probably under some pay-per-view platform as well. But I think it's a matchup that a lot of people want to see outside of like a Federer Shane rematch or a Federer Filler rematch. We all know how much the kid loves the money, and we know how much Alex loves playing for big money. So I talked to Alex after his TV table match, and there's certain players that I love talking to no matter what's going on because they always got something fun to say. They can always be on their toes pretty well. And there's multiple angles you can hit them from. And Alex is that type of guy for sure, Mike, And so I happened to ask him, I said, what's the word on action? And for years, like as Federer was kind of making his ranks up the one pocket ladder, everybody knew that eventually he was going to have to get to Alex. But I think him and his camp were trying to hold that off for as long as possible, knowing that, hey, we don't want to kill our action here and want to make as much money as we can on the way to, getting to the line. But I think that well is pretty much run dry. I don't think there's very many players that Federer can play at this point. But playing Alex even one pocket is the matchup that everybody wants to watch, Mike.
Yeah. Do you think Alex is still there one pocket wise? Is even money with a guy like
Federer? It's interesting because I forgot who I had this debate with online, but we were talking about like top one pocket players, and they kept on mentioning like Tony number one, and I was like, well, how are you getting to Tony number one? And they're like, well, he's won this tournament, he's won that tournament, and then you reflect a little bit and you realize it's been a while since we've seen Alex win a tournament, right? But then you also got to consider the other side of it, which is the action side of it, right? And Tony has lost to Alex a few times getting the ball, so it's like even though Tony's won more tournaments than Alex lately, Alex still gives him weight and wins pretty easily. So you still got to put Alex there. I know it's been a few years since we've seen him play, Mike, like in anything decent. And really, Tony's the only guy that would give him any action because Tony's just a degenerate gambler through and through, And so he just wants to get his money in. But given how Federer has made work of Tony he's played pretty much everyone there is to play. He beats Chip Compton. He beats I forget who else that Federer's played in one pocket. Tony a couple times, like I mentioned before. I think outside of Shane, there's really only one guy that Federer can play. And given the fact that Alex likes to gamble and Federer likes to gamble, Federer loves playing for big money, and this is, I think, the only route that you got right now because Shane's not in any kind of rush to play that matchup. I don't feel like. But we'll see. You never know. In the meantime, though, if we get that Alex versus Federer matchup, I know I'll be glued into the TV. There'll be a lot of action on both sides of it, Mike. And if the bets,
who would you take?
It's interesting.
Let's call it a race to 25.
It'd be 20. It'd be a race 24 because they'd play eight games a day.
Well, yeah, 24, 28, whatever.
Man, I don't know, Mike. I have to really think about it. Like, it's hard not to go with the flavor of the month, and that's Federer, right? And he's young, and he's hungry, and he's eager, and he plays the game really well. Like, I think part of the reason why they held him off for so long is he makes smart choices. And I know there's been some question of his endurance and how that would play a factor in a long race like this, especially if Alex grinds him, which he will do. Like how will the health issues play a role? We saw fatigue play a factor in that matchup against Shane, Mike. And, he played solid for the first 6 hours of every day. But how are you going to do, from hours 6 through 9? How is that going to work out for you? So I don't know. I mean, I think you can make a debate on either side. If you were to put me on the spot right now, which you are, I guess I would go with. I'd go with Federer, but I'd go close. Like, it would be real close. Like real close. I think within probably like a 3-game spread. You know what I mean? Like, he's not winning convincingly, which I think would keep the action open for a potential rematch as well. So, but make no mistake, I mean, if they do play, or when they do play, it'll be for money and it'll be for a lot of it, because neither one of them are gonna put that queue together for that kind of format for anything less than 50,000 a piece in the middle.
Where do you think
Where do I think they would play?
Yeah. In the States, right?
Oh, for sure, it'd be here in the States. I mean, really, there's only a couple places they could play. One of them being Buffalo's, one of them being Rail Yard, which is Federer's hometown. Part of these pay-per-view formats is the players getting compensated, to some extent, and so that would be a 1A matchup that people want to see. So it'd be pretty good. You'd have to imagine it'd be either on X Pool, which is out there in at Rail Yard, or Pool Action TV, which is Race Stream. But we'll see. You never know. I mean, it may end up being, if they get enough sponsors, hell, they could do it for free. So, and they would have a ton of viewers watching in to sweat it. So, yeah, I think it'll be great. I want to check out big action matches, Mike. I do.
Yeah,
especially.
I'm sure one of Federer's stipulations would be, to allow him X number of commercial spots every
push Pagulayan. Well, I don't know who would be pushing more, Federer with the FG brand or Alex with the Pagulayan brand, So, but no, I mean, listen, they're both good at what they do. They both play the game really well. Obviously, they're both in opposite sides of their careers right now, But this is currently and always will be Alex's throne, so to speak, until you take it from him,
Yeah, right.
And so I know people wanted to watch Dennis versus Alex, for so many years. That ship has sailed for me because, Dennis hasn't played one pocket in 4 years now, so he's far from being in shape playing that. But I mean, getting those two in there with some big money on the line is what the fans want to see. And you can tell from the engagement on those posts and the amount of people and how quickly it kind of took off and got some traction. Even though the guy's not here, he's still making news from Indiana, Mike. So, but yeah, I would have loved to see him here. I would have loved to gotten that interview in person. I know Alex posted a reply a little bit earlier today, but I hope to get him on camera again and kind of talk about it a little bit more and, just see if like they can bark all they want, but if Federer's willing to play even, and the pay-per-view money's right, I'm sure that there would be some serious options as far as money in the middle between both their sides. So, and they played before. They played 10 ball before. Federer robbed them, so this will be a nice little, rematch, so to speak, Mike.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. Yeah. It'd be fun. I might even watch a couple minutes at the end.
You have you ever watched a one pocket match before, Mike? Ever?
Well, yeah, of course I've watched a one pocket. I've been to Derby 9 million times.
Oh, that's right.
So I've seen one pocket matches. I watched Efren with you.
Oh God, you weren't watching Efren, Mike. You were.
No, I'm talking about the Efren Tony. I'm talking about Efren Tony.
Efren Tony. Oh, the matchup. We were sweating in the crowd, right? Yeah, that was cool. And this is why I like some of these tournaments where you get these guys that, maybe were legends or are legends or, Hall of Famers. And then you get these young bucks. It's like you can get these cool little spots where there can be some magic, like Bustamante playing in the banks, right? We all know he's a premier one pocket player, premier bank pool player. So can he kind of relight that fire and beat all these young guns? Like that would be a cool story, Mike,
Really cool. Well, Alex making his run in 9 ball in Derby. I mean, that was not what you were expecting.
And who would have picked that, Mike? Like you wouldn't have. And so I think in the long term, like it's more of a flash in the pan at this point in their careers. But, we all love some good stories along the way, Mike.
Yeah.
So what else you got, Panozzo?
Well, you got men's open, the Las Vegas Open's kind of coming to a head.
Let's take
a
look, Mike. What you guys can check out ProBilliardSeries.com. And I got to give a lot of credit here. I know I've been, I hate that I've been given just so much love to the event, Mike, that I'm at. But they actually been doing a pretty good job, like making the website super family, like not family friendly, but friendly to follow.
Yeah, easy. It's easy. It's very intuitive. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Yeah,
they've done a real good job. Kazakis versus Wojciech.
You got your final 8.
Let me see if I can share a screen here, Mike, and show you guys what we got here. Let me take a look. Let's see here. Is it coming up, Panozzo? Maybe. Maybe not. Anyway, we got Kazakis versus Wojciech, Mike. Filler versus Marco Tucher.
Yep. DeLuna and Gomez.
Casper. Look, I've seen this.
Stefan Casper.
Dude, I've seen this guy walk around. I have no idea who he is, or I had no idea who he was, I should say. But obviously he's making, more than a name for himself. But who the hell is this kid, Mike?
I don't really know. I mean, you've seen him walk around. How old is he?
I mean, I don't know. He may be 22 and then just look 45. I don't know. If it's the kid who I think it is, he looks a little bit on the older side.
He took out Ralph. And he took out Daniel Maciel.
That's no walk in the park, Mike.
No, so he did pretty well. Now he's into the final 8. He's got Dennis Grabe. So that'll be a good. I mean, the final 8, it's good quality in the final 8. Not knocking the field, but
come on, Mike. What are you gonna say? Finish what you're gonna say over there.
It's not the final 8 that would cause me to rush out and buy a ticket.
No, but good thing is it's free to come sweat if you're here at the Rio, which is cool.
I probably just cleared my old ticket.
There you go. Yeah, they're pulling your application right now, Mike. You ain't getting the press pants anymore.
No, I mean they're all good players. I mean, this is a really solid. It's a solid field.
Well, we all know it could be better, right? I mean, and on the note of that, Mike, do we have any update as far as what we've been hearing over the last few days?
No, really. It's been kind of quiet the last few days. Over the weekend, not surprising. Yeah. So I haven't heard anything really. I mean, I've heard a couple of players mention, privately that they've made contact with the WPA and or Matchroom about trying to get into the European Open. So there must still be enough optimism that something's going to happen soon. But that's as much as I got right now.
I've heard guys are making plans, Mike, and booking flights, so that's promising. Something's got to be.
Yeah, and it could be that they think they've gotten that far, and if worse comes to worse, WPA would go ahead and give a pass on this event since they've kind of told some players they could go ahead and whatever, and then it could still fall apart for the long term. So, still a lot to be decided, a lot to be ironed out, it seems like. So, but again, the fact that there's still optimism and apparently the two sides are still talking, that's a good thing.
It's a very good thing. And I think the one thing where it's different this time versus a year ago, really, is that players are hearing it from all different directions. They're hearing it from the WPA side, they're hearing it from the Matchroom side, they're hearing it from their federation side as well, Mike, from what I understand. And so It's different than, one side saying we're doing this and the other one saying, well, wait a minute, no, we're not, and so I think that's where the vibe is a little different and a little more optimistic. Guys are walking around with a little pep in their step and got some excitement, and they want to get some good bang on for their buck. So we shall see how it goes. Back to the last 16 though here, Mike, or the last 8, I should say. Up top looks pretty good, Mike. Down below, I think it's all bets are off to some extent, Mike. I don't know. Dennis Gray might be a sleeper at the bottom, and I know he's Mr. WPA number 2, but that matchup against Mora, I saw John play, Mike, and John was playing pretty good. Like, John was having some pretty sound wins and quality wins. I thought he would take out Dennis, but Dennis coming through with the win, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it to the final on that bottom end, but he's got to have to fade those Filipinos if he does.
He won the last. He was down 2-1, right?
Yeah, he was down. Yeah, and then he was, I think 3-2 in the case game, the case set as well. So,
he that was a 4-hour match, which now you're starting to get into with this best of 5. All of a sudden, these turn into real grinders. These turn into real up and down roller coaster rides for some of these guys because you can be up 2 sets and still lose. Someone just drags it out. It still races to 4. So every set's like a new crapshoot. And so it makes it exciting. I think DeLuna Gomez is going to be a really fun one to watch.
Jeff's been playing good. We don't get to see him out here in the States very often. That's for sure going to be a premier matchup as well, Mike.
Another guy who was down 2-1
against Gerson. Yeah, Gerson plays so good too, man. But you gotta like up top. Like up top is in this field, murderer's row. Kazakis, you got Wojciech Kazakis, and
I've always liked his game. Alex is just steady and solid, and Marco, he's popped up in a lot of these tournaments later than you would expect him to.
Right.
So good for him, but he's got he's obviously got his hands full here trying to win a best of 5 sets against Josh. It's not you probably got a better chance in a best of 3 sets.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the guy's gonna get momentum, right? And you're just gonna have to fade it and weather those storms. That's just part of it, and you're gonna have to keep him off the shot as best you can. Marco, when I see Marco play, he always has signature wins, and he's always had, like, he's beaten Shane in the U.S. Open a couple of years ago. Like, he can play in that meat potatoes part of it, and the matchup isn't too big for him. Now, it's going to be hard whenever you play against Josh, and we all know the monster that he is, but Marco can come with it and play some big time pool against some big players. I'd imagine all these are going to be on TV table, Mike, but you got to favor Josh for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look at
give me your pick on top, Mike, and then the pick on the bottom.
Oh,
can you hear me, Pinozo?
An event like this with this field. Well,
maybe not here. I might have lost my internet actually.
Well, I'm still here, so I'm going to keep talking.
Mike, if you can hear me, I cannot hear you, my man. So let me take a look here and see.
Can you see me?
What's going on? I'm going to try to refresh. You know the routine, Mike. You tell some jokes, and we'll see how it goes here in a little bit. All right.
If you can still hear one of us in the chat, let us know who it is. We're looking at the top. It's hard in a field like this. All good players. but not who you would consider, WNT top 10 when they're all playing together. I would have to go pretty heavy on Josh in the top half of this. And I like Dennis Grabe in the bottom half. I think that he's been playing well. He did win he won Maldives. He's a good, solid player. I like where he's at. DeLuna and Roberto, that's going to be kind of a slugfest. So yeah, I like Dennis Grabe from the bottom. I like Josh from the top. And Mike is still frozen. So yeah, these all are tomorrow afternoon. So oh God, this is not what you all want. This is not what you all want to see and hear. So tell me who you all like on the top, who all you like on the bottom. Who do you see being the final two in the final 8 for the Las Vegas Open? Give me a couple of your picks for who you like in the team event, the mixed doubles. We went through a lot of those teams. There's a lot of fun team matches out there. And bank pool. Let me know what you think.
Mike, can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I don't know what the heck. Prasad shows up, and all of a sudden my internet takes a dive, and all the wheels completely fall off. I'm on my phone right now, Mike. I'll show you guys a little bit of the room here, and the setup. It's pretty. It's there's a lot of people here, Mike. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, it's a lot going on there.
Anyhow, Mike, I'm gonna have to reboot, so we're gonna end the stream. I got another interview this afternoon with this gentleman from Pro Bowl TV. But get your ass out here already. I want some herbs and rye, and we're gonna be doing some live shows here once I charge my computer, evidently. And so we will see you guys soon.
I'll see you tomorrow.
And